Good evening, St. John Lutheran Church and friends.
Good evening, Epiphany Lutheran Church and friends.
And family, wherever you may be. We have friends and family that watch us too. We're glad to be with you on this Friday before Mother's Night. Mother's Day, I should say, coming. Just watching some stories about moms on the nightly news on the end of it. It was very good. Christopher saw I was crying a little bit, so he was worried.
Okay.
And then this other mom was crying because her daughter gave her a cake that said Happy Grandmother's Day. Because she's pregnant.
Christopher does not like to see his mother cry.
And I said, Christopher, this mom is crying because she's going to be a grandma for the first time. And sometimes people cry happy tears. So
Yes.
So I was crying happy tears,
So
but I was not crying.
We'll be okay. Hopefully
That's
we'll
what
be
we
okay.
hope. We hope.
We hope that he'll be fine on singing his song a little later tonight.
Yes, we hope. So. We hope. Well, if he's not, and he doesn't want to come down, it's okay. It's okay.
That's it.
So, well, anyway, we're glad you're with us. We hope that this will be a great weekend for all the mothers. And as I said last night on devotion, but it's also a bittersweet one, especially for those of us who have lost our moms, or those who have struggled with their relationships with their moms, or those who want to be moms and aren't moms yet. It can make it very tough, but I still think it's so important. And if your mom's around, even if you can't be by her or close to her, be sure to call her and tell her you love her and you're thankful for her, because I'd give anything to be able to do that with my mom, and I know you would too.
Yeah.
So one of the sweetest, we're going to share some story. David's going to tell stories about his mom, but
I'll share some trivia too.
Well, I'm going to share a story of one of my favorite gifts I ever got on Mother's Day, which was David's mom, who she had 5 children, 3 daughters, 2 sons. The sons were bookends with the daughters in the middle. And one Mother's Day, she wrote a personal letter to each one of her daughters and her daughter-in-laws to tell us what she admired and loved about us. And that was one of the sweetest gifts I've ever been given. It was so touching and so wonderful. And I was so honored that she would do that. I loved my mother-in-law. She was just the sweetest, kindest person. And people complain about their mother-in-laws. Well, I couldn't complain a bit. She was wonderful. She was a lot of fun. And I loved her.
I won't complain about her, but I will tell stories about her. But that comes in a little bit. So did you know the origin of Mother's Day?
I was thinking it had something to do with one of the presidents, Roosevelt or something.
Well, actually, there's 2 stories about Mother's Day that I ended up finding just very quickly. In 1870, Julia Ward, you might know her as she wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Okay. She suggested a day of peace and strongly advocated for other women to stand up against the war. Oh. And so from this plea, she got Boston, the city of Boston, to recognize mothers on the 2nd Sunday of June. Wow. But what's interesting, especially because there's oftentimes, as you know, as Pastor Mary just said, it can be a bittersweet time, when for many on this day, who either can't be mothers or have lost their mothers. But here's something interesting. One of the main women that got Mother's Day to be an official holiday was a woman by the name of Anna Jarvis, who, interestingly enough, never had any children herself, but she wanted to carry out her own mother's wishes for having a day just for mom. So she campaigned with President Woodrow Wilson, and on May 8th, 1914, they signed a joint resolution together designating the 2nd Sunday in May as Mother's Day.
Wow.
So it's interesting that on a day that can be very bittersweet for those of us who have lost our mothers, for those who cannot be mothers for one reason or another, those that have lost children, those that have the children, and those that thing. It's interesting that Mother's Day was started by someone who couldn't have children herself.
Wow.
So,
wow, that's very honorable that she wanted to honor her mom that way, to do that. That's really special.
And there's many churches out there that will be giving out carnations. Yes. Did you know the mythology behind carnations?
No.
There's a mother sort of mythology behind it.
Okay.
Carnations are thought to be made from the tears of Jesus' mother Mary when she wept at the feet the day he was crucified. So.
Wow. Well, I actually picked up some tulips today, but I was also going to get some carnations because usually carnations are a great thing to give out. And it's become the practice, I think, when we were in Illinois. I think that's where we started giving out, or it may have been another church I served at, because, I've been interim at several, of giving a flower to every woman and girl as a daughter of God, so that no one would feel left out and everyone would be honored. And I really like that. I think that's very sweet. So,
by the way, my one funny fact for right now is just be glad that we don't live in the former Yugoslavia.
Why?
Because in the former Yugoslavia, children would tie up their mothers on Mother's Day, and the only way she could get free would be to pay her children with treats. There you go, Sam.
That sounds
the former
like
Yugoslavia.
Younger
the former
kids,
Yugoslavia would be the place for you.
So
Yeah.
It sounds perfect in every way for me.
So
yeah, you're going to tie me up on Mother's Day? Yes, still he's a stinker. Yes.
No.
In fact, Samuel was born close to Mother's Day, and Christopher was born close to Father's Day.
But they can never be, but Samuel's birthday can never be on Mother's Day, and Christopher's birthday can never be on Father's Day.
No, but Christopher was born before Father's Day, but Samuel was born right after Mother's Day.
Yep.
But they're the best presents we got for those days. Yes.
Yep.
Christopher made us a mom and dad, and Samuel made us a double mom and dad. So,
Yep.
And today's also a special day because today was Samuel's last official day in high school. And
as far as we know.
Well, he's got to go back next week to study for his AP test in music theory. I had a conversation with somebody today who said her daughter said it was a very tough class she took in college. And so anyway, we're still praying for that. But they had the senior walk, which because of COVID, it used to be, Samuel said, all the students would come out and line the halls, so the seniors would walk through their last time in the building together. But they couldn't do that because of COVID, so the administration was out there and they had a big banner, like football games where you run through it. So, but anyway, it's surprising that he's made it to the finish line. It's not surprising, but it's also a little bittersweet right before Mother's Day that this is taking place.
So you have some jokes for us?
I do, and they're sweet jokes. I also have a story from Watching Night, which I actually had seen that program before, so I will. It says, make your mom laugh out loud with these funny Mother's Day jokes. Hint, they'd be great inside that homemade card that you're not going to forget to make for your mom.
Hint, Sam. Hint,
Well,
Sam.
my child said he makes me one, and I didn't make him, so anyway. So, okay. Mom number 1. How did you get your sleepyhead son up in the morning? Mom number 2. I just put the cat on the bed. Mom number 1. How does that help? Mom number 2. The dog's already there. Baby snake. Mommy, are we poisonous? Mother snake. Yes, son. Why? Baby snake. I just bit my tongue. Chris. Why is a computer so smart? Mom. Because it listens to its motherboard. Son, Dad, do you know the difference between a pack of cookies and a pack of elephants? Dad, no. Son, then it's a good thing Mom does the grocery shopping. I think that one's cute. Kendon, why was the mother firefly so happy? Brian, why? Kendon, because her children were all so bright. I think that's sweet. Sunday school teacher, tell me, Johnny, do you say prayers before eating? Johnny, no, ma'am. I don't have to. My mom's a good cook. Doug, I think your mom's getting serious about straightening up my room once and for all. Dan, how do you know? Doug, she's learning to drive a bulldozer. I know somebody I could say that about. Hint, hint. Mm-hmm. Ryan, why did you chop the joke book in half? John, Mom said to cut the comedy. Aaron, what did the mother, well, no, never mind, I'm not reading that one. Joker, it's just, whatever. Why did the monster's mother knit him 3 socks? Harvey, I have no clue. Joker, she heard he grew another foot. A mother is trying to get her son to eat carrots. This sounds like a mother joke, okay? And you've probably even said this, or your mother said this at one time. Carrots are good for your eyes, she said. How do you know? The boy asked.
Have you ever seen a rabbit with glasses?
Wearing glasses? Exactly. Elephant. Why do mother kangaroos hate rainy days? Hippo. I give up. Elephant. Because their kids have to play inside. All right, I'm going to stop there.
Well, Pastor Mary shared about my mother, and she was a wonderful mother. But I do got to tell you, much as I love my mother dearly, and there's much that can be said about her, one thing we can't speak very highly of is her cooking. But now she'd be the first one to tell you that she was not a good cook. She'd be the first one to tell you this because after all, she really didn't like to. She didn't want to. She didn't want to. She didn't like to. It was just something she had to do.
She probably didn't cook growing up because they probably had somebody who cooked in their home because of where she grew up.
But just a couple of stories about my mom and cooking.
You can get the picture over there.
So yeah, a couple stories about my. Oh yeah, we can get that one. So that's yes. So this is a beautiful picture of my mother.
Hold it up closer to the camera.
So there it is. There's my mom. I think that's my mom. I think that's her college picture, either her college picture or her high school picture. But anyway, I remember going home because when I went to seminary in Berkeley, when I went home to seminary in Berkeley, my hometown was only 4 hours away. So I went home during that time, right on the break. This was right after Mary and I met, and Mary has sworn that I will never to do that to her, and she doesn't have to worry about that. But I remember that my mom that night made meatloaf. For all of you that you know how meatloaf is, let me just say how it's supposed to be. Let me just tell you how my mom had to serve her meatloaf. And I am not kidding you. I remember this. My mom served the meatloaf with an ice cream scoop. And I was a really good son that night and asked for seconds. That's what Pastor Mary said. I am never to do that if I don't like her cooking. But she never has to worry about that. Pastor Mary never has to worry that I would ever complain about her cooking or compare her cooking, say, you don't cook like my mom. I don't want Pastor Mary to cook like my mom. Ever to cook like my mom. Because two other stories will go with that. One of them involves her. When she came home for one of our Christmas dinners one time, the first Christmas dinner that was there, Mary insisted on making the sweet potatoes. Now, Mary does you really got to do her mashed sweet potatoes. Mashed sweet potatoes. Casserole with cinnamon and brown sugar and pecans. Oh my gosh. Well, I remember my mom going up to Mary before dinner, and she said, "Now, Mary," she said, "I just want to let you know, do not be offended if Phil," that's my dad, "don't be offended if Phil doesn't eat your sweet potatoes. He doesn't like sweet potatoes." My dad had 3 helpings of sweet potatoes that night. Because, as another story will go, the story will go about one time when this is quite a few years earlier, when she went to go visit my sister at her house, and my sister that night made spaghetti. And when my sister made the spaghetti, and they served it, my dad was just eating. I mean, he really loved the spaghetti. And my mom looked at my dad and said, "Phil, you don't like spaghetti." To which my dad didn't do these years later. My dad looked at my mother and said, "No, Peggy, I don't like your spaghetti." So.
But your mom was as sweet as she could be. She had great faith.
She just was not a good cook.
She was an awesome crafter. She was a prayer warrior. She was really amazing. Now, my mom was an amazing cook, but my mom had to live up to my dad's mom, who was even more amazing cook. And my dad was never quite as happy. But my mom made the best fried chicken. She always made homemade noodles for Christmas and Thanksgiving. She made all our birthday cakes. She was amazing cook. But she was a farmer's wife. She grew up on a farm. She and my dad were the only one out of all their siblings. My mom had 7 sisters. My dad had 3 sisters. They were the only 2 that wound up. My mom worked in Chicago, lived a big life, lived in Springfield, Illinois, was a secretary before she met and married my dad. So she had lived in the big city, but she's the only one that came back to a farm. And they were the only 2 out of all their family to live on a farm. But my mom was an amazing cook. She really loved to cook. And both of our moms were prayer warriors. They would pray for everything. My mom, being Catholic, would pray her rosary. And in fact, every time I was pregnant, my parents would both pray the rosary every night for us to be able to have a baby. And they did every time of the 7 times I was pregnant. They would pray until we shared that we lost one, or prayed all the way to get to Christopher and all the way to get to Samuel. And I know David's mom lifted up lots and lots of prayers for our babies too. And they were just both really, wonderful women who worked hard and raised their family. And they were stay-at-home moms, but they did everything for us. They did everything, and they taught us a lot. And so I'll be forever grateful. And David's the youngest and the most unexpected child, because you could tell the story about when your mom found out his mom had bought into a craft store or something.
Well, I don't know that.
That's what I was told.
Yeah, no, I know. I understand
because she loved
that.
to do crafts, and she was all excited because her youngest child was 6 years old.
But this does remind me, and this is probably a warning to all of the young people out there. So that does remind me of the story I hadn't thought about, but now you reminded me of it. My senior year. Now, Sam has not had to experience. I guess they don't do these sort of senior year class experiences anymore. But Sam, in my day, in my day, we had to have a senior class. It was called I forget, a senior seminar or something. It's one of those that gave you kind of basic life skills. Yeah. So, we had to plan a wedding. We had to know how to do a checkbook. We did cooking in the midst of it. There were all these different things. And one of the things, of course, they go over being a life skills. They started going over birth control and all that. Now, I had a very, my parents and I could talk just about anything. And I remember getting in the back of the car one time. And so my mother turned around and said, "So, David, what did you talk about in school today?"
Which is what
so I said, okay. I said, "Mom," well, in the senior seminar class I had today, they talked about birth control. To which my mom's response from the front seat was, "Well, David, just remember, birth control isn't 100% sure. You're living proof of that." So that was when I learned in my senior year that not only was I not planned for, there's 7 years between me and the next oldest, 17 years between me and my brother. Not only was I not planned for, I was planned against. But me being the smart aleck kid that I was at the age of 17, 18, when my mom said that, I came right back and said, "So, Mom, what birth control methods did you guys use?" So
your mother probably turned 10 shades of pink.
No, she didn't. She told me, actually. But we won't go into that.
But we should finish saying the fact that when his mother found out she was pregnant with him, she cried.
Cried for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Because she had bought into a craft store, is what I was told, and she was all excited because her youngest one had gone to kindergarten, and she was going to get to do something, do this thing that she really loved, because she was always a crafter. She put together beautiful flower arrangements. She was a stamper. In fact, I have some of her stamps because I like to stamp. But then she got happy, I heard, because everybody else was happy.
The rest of my sisters ended up being so excited about it that she decided she'd be happy too.
And David became the dress-up doll because they would dress David up in all kinds of different outfits.
My sisters even let Mary know at our wedding that she could dress me up anytime. So.
Well, we won't go there either. All right, my husband. Aren't you doing trivia tonight?
No, I'm sharing stories about my
mom.
mom.
I thought you said you were going to do trivia.
I started with trivia.
You told the, okay, all
started
right.
with trivia now.
All right.
I got other mom stories.
What did the mother rope say to her child? Jim, what? Matthew, don't be naughty. Definition, minimum, a small mother. A mother mouse and a baby mouse are walking along when a cat attacks them. The mother mouse shouts, bark, and the cat runs away. See, the mother mouse says to her baby, now do you see why it's important to learn a foreign language? I think that's cute. What did the mother broom say to the baby brooms? Bill, what? Jack, it's time to go to sweep. Cute. Mother to son, I'm warning you, if you fall out of that tree and break both of your legs, don't come running to me. That sounds just like something a mother would say.
Oh, that reminds me of another mom story. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
It reminds me, I love my mother. Just please know.
You keep saying, I love my mother, but.
So I come home one time and I end up finding out that this one girl that was in our church, who of course is by this time in her 20s, is now a young mother. And so I forget her name. We'll just say Debbie. I said, so Mom, I said, did you hear? I said, Debbie now has a 9-month-old boy. To which my mom said, a 9-month-old boy? When did that happen? To which me, being the smart aleck son, said, oh, Mom, about 9 months ago. So
You must, as much as your mother loved you, and she loved you, she must have said, oh, David, a whole lot of times with you.
Yeah.
By the way, Samuel's been wanting to get an organ. I told you, your grandma Peggy had an organ in their house.
Yep,
and loved to play the organ.
Loved to play the organ.
So if you know someone that has a Wurlitzer organ, remember those? Yeah, Samuel's looking for one. We're looking to get him one as a part of his graduation present. So we're serious too. We're looking, although we're going to have somebody's help. Like Don, if you're watching, we're going to need a truck to
Somebody
be able to haul. Huh?
Somebody will need to tell Don. So.
I'm not talking about Don from your church.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm talking about Don from my church.
Okay.
No, Don from my church has a big red truck.
Oh, there we go.
Big red truck. So, yeah, so Don, if you're listening, I'm going to need your help if I can get it. So, anyway, and tell Gwen I will get back in touch with her because I forgot about it today. So, all right, Robbie. This is Robbie. Larry's mother had 4 children. 3 were named North, South, and West. What was their other child's name? Bobby said East. Robbie said no, Larry. I don't know. Don't ask me. Definition, sweater. Something you wear when your mother gets cold.
That's my mom. Yep.
Pee-wee, what did the digital clock say to its mother? Westy, what? Pee-wee, look, Ma, no hands. My mom loved a Baby Ben clock. If you know what those are, they were the little ones and they were wind-up clocks. She always had a Baby Ben clock, and that was her alarm clock. And you pulled the little thing out in the back, and that was to make it ring. So, and you'd set the clock to go off. Do you know those? And then when it would hit that, it would ring, and then you had to put it back in. So that was before, all the other. But Baby Ben, she loved a little Baby Ben clock. It had hands, yes. Ben, how did the mother needle got mad at the baby needle? Jerry, I don't know. Ben said, it was way past his thread time. So that's those jokes. Okay. All right. So those are the jokes.
Those are jokes.
So
mom stories. Another mom story. So my mom was a very faithful woman, and I always do like to tell the story about how I thought I heard my mom swear once, but I was wrong. So how can I do this as a pastor on Friday night fun night and not use the word? So one time we were talking on the phone one time, and I swear I heard my mom say that something had happened to a person, and they said they were scared-less. You can fill in the word. 4 letters, begins with an S. And I was absolutely shocked, but I didn't say anything. because I couldn't believe that I just heard my mom say this to me over the phone. Now, it took me about 3 months before I finally said something to my mother. So I'm back on the phone with my mother and said, Mom, I just need to check because did I hear you swear a few months ago? She's like, what? No, David, I wouldn't have done that. And I said, well, Mom, remember when we were talking about blah, 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 and you said they were scared? And she said, I did not. I said that they were scared spitless. And I said to my Mom, nobody says scared spitless. Well, yes, they do. I did. And the thing about my mother is, I know that that's probably right. So, because I remember my mom, I remember one time getting upset at my mother. In fact, I got a hard time with this when I shared this story at seminary with some of my friends in seminary. But there was one time, something happened with the cat. You know how cats can be, pets can be, you love them, hate them. Well, something happened to the cat, and here I don't mind using this word, but I remember saying as the cat did something, I was just like, oh, damn that cat. And I remember my mother, and I'm like in my mid-20s at this point, okay? So it's not like I'm like 15 or something, okay? But I remember my mother saying, David. I said, oh, Mom, sorry. And she said, don't apologize to me. Apologize to yourself. And so I ended up having a whole bunch of friends in there that would look at me when I shared that story that would say, David, apologize to yourself. Now, the only funnier thing was the fact that I remember sharing the story about the scared spitless story with other members of my family. This was after, I think, my mother and father died, but after my father died. And I remember one of my sisters, bless her heart, ended up saying, she said, you're right. And she said, I never heard Dad swear either. And I said, oh, Marcia, you weren't around your father very much, were you? So.
And her name really was Marcia.
Yeah.
Is Marcia.
Yes.
Yes, so we may have to tell her to check this one out.
So that's why I figured, in honor of Mother's Day, I figured I'd share a couple of trivia with you, but it's much more fun. I have some. I love my mother so much.
Now, my mom was not a cusser either. She really wasn't. But if you got in trouble with my mother, so you have to remember, I have 3 younger brothers. 3 of us were born within 5 years. My mother's hands were very full, and I haven't gone back. I would love to do the math. We lived 3 miles from our school. And we went to Catholic grade school, and we had a bus for a while, but then the bus stopped. But anyway, just to point out, so my mom, literally, and then my youngest brother is 10 and a half years younger than me, Ted, and he is about 4.5, 5 years after Tom. My brothers are Tim, Tom, and Ted. Those of you who know me have heard that story. My brothers are Tim, Tom, and Ted. And so anyway, my mom literally drove at least one child to school for, I just can't imagine, because our school went through 8th grade. And they had kindergarten when Tim and I were in school, and then they quit having kindergarten for a while, so my brothers went to the Lutheran kindergarten and then went to the Catholic school in 1st grade. But I mean, my mom, like both of our moms, our moms just were tireless. They did so much for us, but they also taught us a lot too. But so my mom, though, had famous sayings that she would say. And one of them, if she was mad at you, she would say, well, damn your hide. That was one of her favorite things to say. And she loved to say, if it was a snake, it would have bit you. Because we were all, she misplaced things, we'd misplace things. And then, of course, we'd find, she'd go, well, if it was a snake, it would have bit you. She loved to do that. But she just wasn't like that. She was a very sweet person. Both my parents never met a stranger, and when I was a teenager, I was terribly embarrassed by my parents. I can remember being in a Wendy's one time, and my parents stopped to talk to this young couple with this cute little kid, because the little kid was so cute, and my parents love little kids, and I was just so embarrassed. But now I'm just like my parents. I'm the same way. Tell people they look great, or I love their dress, or the child is beautiful, or whatever, because I learned it from my parents, and I just feel like so many people, they don't get recognized or noticed, and I don't do that with everybody, but if something strikes me about somebody, I will just tell them. I will tell them, you know, they look lovely, or, you know, I like their smile or whatever. But I learned that from my parents. But and my mom was famously known. So we lived in a farmhouse, and my mom and dad's bedroom was on the first floor, and the upstairs was just our bedrooms. And in the winter, it was cold, and we, you know, anybody who grew up who's older knows that probably the house you grew up in didn't have central heat or central air. I can remember when we got an air conditioner downstairs. That was a big deal. I was a little kid. I was probably 6 or 7 years old when we got that. So it was really cold at night upstairs. So in the winter, my brothers and I would all share a bedroom. We had our own beds in the bedroom. But you know, you get 2 or 3 kids in a bedroom, and what are they going to do when they go to bed? They're going to talk. They're going to be loud. Well, my mom didn't like coming up the stairs any more than I like going up to Christopher and Samuel's room. Their room was here on the second floor, but I will go up. But anyway, my mom would yell up at us, "You quiet down up there, or I'm coming up." Well, now, people talk about the switch. Well, my mom was known, she had 2 things. One was a long ruler, because she would use it with the washer. She always had a pole to push the clothes down in the washer, which there was one at her house when I was up there to clean out in February, and my brother Tim and I both said we were going to get one, because it's easy to put them in. But anyway, she had a long ruler, and she would sometimes use it for that. And then when they started making Hot Wheels, if you remember the orange track, my mother would, if we got in trouble and we didn't quiet down, she would come up, and over our covers, she would whack us with the Hot Wheel stick. You knew, "Oh, you better shut up," and we'd be like, "You be quiet," you know. "No, you be quiet," you know. Just always got in trouble. But that's usually how we got in trouble, was when we went to bed, was that we didn't behave. So, but you know, yeah, I have so many good memories and wonderful things. And my mom was she really was a saint, and I thought of her that way. And I just wish she was here. So, just one more Mother's Day, just to thank her. But you know, I try to honor her with my life, and I'm just terribly grateful for her. Yeah. And I miss her. Yeah. So.
And here's a good example of what Mother's Day is all about. There we go.
Oh, I love you.
You too. Sam, do you want to share a song with us?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let me go get my guitar.
We're not going to sing with Sam tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
Because Sam has chosen a song that we don't know. So
my problem was that I had a really hard time trying to find a Mother's Day song, because there's a lot of songs that have the name, like, mother in them, or talk about mothers. Not really a lot of, like, I don't know, ones that are easy.
Well, there's no song like, "Oh, this is the Mother's Day song." Like, you know,
exactly.
Here Comes Peter Cottontail for Easter, or, you know, all the Christmas songs or whatever, you know.
Exactly. I wish they had one for it. So I went and I looked for one, and I found a Bruce Springsteen song that, you know, it's all about his mother. I mean, I don't think it represents my family that well, because it talks about an abusive dad and a mom working at an office. So that doesn't apply, but it's a good song.
David's like, okay, whatever.
Okay. And here we go. What's the name of the song, Sam?
Oh, it's called The Wish.
Okay.
Dirty old street, all slummed up in the rain and snow. Oh, little boy and his mama outside, run down music store window. Oh, that night on top of the Christmas tree shines beautiful stars. When lying underneath the brand new Japanese guitar. Well, I remember in the morning, Ma, hearing your alarm clock ring. Well, I'd be lying there in bed, listening, you were ready for work, the sound of the makeup case on your sink. The ladies at the office on lipstick, perfume, rustled skirts. And how proud and happy you always looked walking home from work. While if Pa's eyes were windows to a world so deadly and true. Oh, you couldn't stop me from looking, but you kept me from crawling right through. And it's a funny old world now, where little boys' wishes come true. Got a few left in my pocket, and just a special one for you. And it ain't a phone call on Sunday morning, or flowers, or a Mother's Day card. Well, it ain't a house on a hill with a garden and a nice yard. Oh, I got my heart right on the Bond Street. I'm older, but you know me in a glance. Oh, we'll find us a little rock and roll bar, baby, we'll go out and dance. And it was me in the Beetle boots, your pink cooler and matcha pants. Pulling up on the couch to do the twist for my uncles and aunts. Oh, and when I found a girl of my own now, I popped the question on your birthday. Oh, and she stood on the front porch while you were getting out, she said, sorry. What I had to say. Oh, last night we all sat around laughing at that guitar, what that guitar brought us. And I lay awake thinking about the other things it brought us. Oh, tonight I'm taking requests here in the kitchen. This one's for you, Mom. Let me say it right out. I love you, Mom. It's overdue, my baby, if you're looking for a sad song. Oh, this ain't it.
Thank you, Sam.
Wait. I love you.
Love you too.
All right. And so,
if we go,
well,
if somebody goes to get Christopher, I want to get the picture of my mom to bring down.
Okay.
Samuel, are you going to get Christopher?
Yeah, I'll go get Chris.
You know the picture of my mom on the desk?
Oh.
The black and white one? Bring that down.
Will do.
Yeah, so we can see our moms in their...
Yes.
And their youthfulness. In the stories, we don't always know about them, but some of them we do.
I think I ended up finding out that my mom was very serious with a guy when she left India and came to college.
I didn't know that.
So yes, she was quite serious with the guy, but they ended up breaking up. So story is that the way that my mom and dad quote unquote met was they were in the Presbyterian youth group together, and because it was during the war, they went out on Christmas caroling. And my mom ended up sitting on my father's lap. Actually, the story goes that my dad made sure that my mom sat on his lap because he wanted to make sure that... Hi, Christopher!
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good.
Christopher, who is this a picture of?
Do you know?
That's a picture of Grandma Agnes.
Grandma Agnes.
So this picture was done for her funeral. This is her when she was young, and I don't know I guess my brother Tim will know. I don't know if this was not high school. This was after high school. I think it's a work picture of her when she was a secretary, when she was a young secretary. I got to be careful how that's sitting. It's making a mark in it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, the funeral, my mom's wake was really amazing. The funeral home that did it in my hometown of Hannibal, Missouri, has this special program that's out. And they asked us, things about my mom that she loved and things she liked. And the whole room is all white walls, and they projected on the walls pictures of my mom. My mom always loved a young Senator Kennedy, and they did like what I call a Forrest Gump picture. And they put my mom, I think it's not this picture, but it's another one of her in a suit with Senator Kennedy.
You're going to have our son very impatient.
I know. He's ready to sing. Are you ready to sing?
Christopher, tell everybody what song we're going to sing tonight.
The silly song.
The Belly Button Silly Song. So this is the VeggieTales song, the silly song. Is what do they get called? The
Ballad of
Boys. The Boys.
The Boys in the Sink.
The Boys in the Sink. So it's like
a
90s boy band. And so the song that they do, based on the fact of remembering their vegetables, is called the Belly Button Song.
The
Belly Button Silly Song, where the big chorus is, "We don't have a belly button." Okay, here we go. Ready?
All right.
Okay.
Baby, I know your eyes see right through my disguise. And no one can deny, baby, that I'm the one whose love is no surprise. And he can tell you no one, but there's a secret I'm keeping no more. There's just the buzz never told you before. Baby, I need to tell you something. I know God the belly, but tell me how I need to tell you something. God the belly button, no. Baby, please don't scream. Just tell me how you feel. No. Cause this love is for real. And if you went away, my heart would ever heal. No. So to you, yes, there's something missing in my life. It's hard to ignore. They're just thinking about something never told you before. Baby, I need to tell you something new. I don't got the belly button. How I need to tell you something bigger. You don't got the belly button. No belly button, no. Belly button, belly button, you said Billy was this coming in for surgery really hard. They for the inside your fin, you grow said but question, you got a shirt, and I see my belly button, belly button. It's got a sovereign essence from my never state core. There's this thing about us I never told you before. Baby, I need to tell you something, dude. I don't got a belly button. All I need to tell you something, big girl. Ain't no got a belly button. The belly button, no. Oh, no belly button.
Yay! Take a bow. Thank you, Christopher.
I'm getting for Mother's Day. So does that make you happy?
Yeah.
I'm getting steel magnolias.
There you go. Thank you, Christopher.
I took a bow.
Oh, that's it.
You did take a bow. That's
All right.
Wants to let's get lollipop.
Okay, we'll talk about this later. So, anyway, so that's what we got tonight for Friday night fun night. So.
Oh, I do want to share one thing. I always usually share about On the Road with Steve Hartman, and really good. They've done all Mother's Day stories this week. If you look up CBS News, you can find them. But tonight's story was super good. This woman worked. She's still alive, and she worked to age 75. She'd worked decades and decades at this hotel. She was a maid, took good care of the place, and they fired her. They let her go. And this was 3 years ago, so it wasn't because of COVID. And she really, really wanted to work because that's what she did. And her son helped her, and she couldn't find a job, and she got notes saying, well, I don't know anybody that's going to hire a 75-year-old, which, I know lots of great 75-year-olds who have lots of energy and would be amazing employees. But anyway, so her son, who's a freelance photographer, decided his mom had a bucket list, and she's in good shape, and decided to make a documentary of his mom fulfilling her bucket list. And now the movie has been shown, I think, in New York City, and it's going to be on screens everywhere. And it was really cool. They were showing it, and she said, and I thought this was sweet, she said, for Mother's Day, if you have a mother, all you have to do is call her or walk up to her door and knock on it and tell her Happy Mother's Day, and you will make her happy. And then they showed a lady, it was another Mother's Day on NBC, and the guy hadn't been able to see his mom for 7 months because of COVID, and he surprised his mom and came home and hugged her. And of course, she said it was the best Mother's Day present. So I hope for all of you that there's something good about Mother's Day for you, whether it's celebrating your mom, remembering your mom, or you being celebrated. I hope that the joy of the day far outshines the sadness of the day. And I shared that last night, that there were several years where Mother's Day was very hard for me when we had miscarriages, and it was very, very tough. But always been grateful and thankful, especially now for my mom and David's mom and all the wonderful moms. We just want to salute you and thank you, and just pray that you are blessed, that you know that you are a blessing to your family this Mother's Day. And even if they, for some reason, don't recognize it, I hope that you know how much God loves you, and we love you, and we wish you a very blessed day. So,
Yes.
So we have some big news to share, both of us, from both of our churches. And that is that at the end of May, actually on the same day, the Sunday of Memorial Day, which is the 30th of May, we will, both of our congregations, David can tell more, but we will be having our first indoor worship services. Now, at our congregation, because our sanctuary is smaller, we will be worshiping in our fellowship hall. There will be more information coming. It'll be in the bulletin, the newsletter. You will be able to sign up starting on Tuesday morning. You cannot leave a message, but you have to either talk to Lynn or myself to get on the list. We will be taking, I think it's 35 people plus those who help with the worship. And by signing up, you agree that you will wear a mask into the building and through the service until you leave the building. It'll be a little shorter service. We will still have communion at the end. We will live stream it for those who are not able to be with us. And we will also share it on the parking lot for those who are either not comfortable coming in or can't get in. But we're hoping that we, especially with starting on Memorial Day Sunday, because we know people will be gone, we're hoping we can get people in. So this is our first stage of doing this. And but like I said, we will continue to be online. And for now, we will continue to be in the parking lot. And we will also have drive-by communion for those who are not either can't get in or don't want to come in, who are watching at home and want to come by. We will still have drive-by communion. So read the information. There will be more coming, but it will be starting. We will be starting inside in our fellowship hall on May 30th.
And probably with two things. Number one, as you have already been hearing with Epiphany, is worship service starting on this Sunday will be held outside in our pavilion. Once again, if you don't feel comfortable in terms of gathering in the pavilion, please know that you can be in your car. It will continue to be on the radio, and we will continue to live stream it as well, so you can watch it that way. But join us out in the pavilion for outside worship for the next few Sundays, and then we will also, as Pastor Mary already indicated, we will be starting to move inside on Sunday, May 30th. Now for us, what we will be doing is we will be going into the sanctuary, but we will be having two services. So we will have a service at 8:30 and then a service at 11. We will, once again, you will need to wear a mask. It will be a shorter service. And
are you going to broadcast just
and
for them?
the same that we'll be live streaming the 11 o'clock service, and once again you are invited to be on the outside with the broadcast on the FM radio. So all those options again are open, just as Pastor Mary indicated at St. John. The same will be true with Epiphany. So but we're excited about that. Join us for it.
I should say though, for those of you who wonder why we're not going to sanctuary, to compare our sanctuaries, Epiphany's sanctuary
we
is
have a bigger sanctuary,
probably
yes.
almost 3 times the size of St. John, and to be safe in there, we could only get about 20 to 21 people in there safely. So we decided for our first stage, this is what we would do. We're not having any outside groups in the building. We're not doing any of their services inside at this point. We're just starting with Sunday morning, and we're only doing one because of help. Oh, I should say, we do need people to be trained to be ushers and altar guild / communion assistants for now. Our music will be pre-recorded as it has been, as well as our readings. I will be speaking the gospel and preaching, but we will not be singing inside for now, just out of abundance of caution. And we will have training on the 16th, right after service, right after communion that day. So please let myself or Sandra know, Sandra Harwood for Altar Guild, if you're willing to be trained for that, and let myself know if you're willing to be trained to usher at our services. So
we'll let you know more as we get closer.
yes,
So.
But it's exciting news,
exciting
and we're very
news.
excited to be able to share that this weekend.
Yeah.
So
We better. I was going to say.
well, I was going to say we don't.
we're
Have, I know we don't have anything tomorrow, but we will see you. Hopefully, see you either online or at worship on Sunday, Mother's Day. But for those of you who watch us from afar, we wish you a most happy and wonderful Mother's Day. And thanks for joining us today and hearing the stories about our moms and a few funny jokes and our origins of. I didn't know about carnations, so that's a great story to know. So,
There you go.
all right. So before we go,
Lord bless you and keep you.
the Lord make His face shine on you and be gracious to you,
The Lord look upon you with favor.
and give you peace. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
We can slap hands when we do
That's
that. You're doing the Orthodox way. Okay, hey, good night, everybody.
Good night,
Thank you,
everyone.
Sam. Thank you, Christopher.